And what is going on, everybody? Welcome back into the channel. UCF Jaguar here. And look, we actually had, I don't know if it's necessarily Jaguars news, but maybe just Jaguars content. Okay. I don't know about you guys, but man, it's been kind of a boring last month of February. Just not any movement, not any really even rumors about what's going on with the Jaguars. I mean, ever since they hired Ryan Nielsen, it's just been kind of dead. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of things going on with the Jaguars, which we'll get into all that in this video. Want to give some shout outs to everybody. Shout out to TD. What's going on, man? We got that dude Evan in the building. What's up, bro? We got Cameron. What's going on, Cameron? How you doing, man? Longtime channel member. He says playing some volleyball. We're glad to see another live stream popping up. Go Jags. F Trent Baalke. I'll rewatch. Hey, that's gonna be the name of the game, man. There will definitely be plenty of Trent Baalke slander this stream. XD Gamer, what's up, man? Proud. XD Gamer's always in the AAC South Roundtable group chat whenever we're streaming, representing for the Jaguars, guys. And I do have the AAC South Roundtable, the channel, linked in my description. Definitely go check it out. We've been very, very active all off season. Tonight's actually the first Tuesday we've been off in since we started up the thing. So shout out to them. Charlie Boy in the building. What's up, man? Jalen, Robert, Devontae. We got a lot more people in here. What's up, West Day? All right. So, yeah, like I said, man, a lot of things going on with the Jaguars. Really, that's coming up. And they're pushing all this kind of to the last minute. But, we got a couple of franchise tag candidates with Josh Allen and Calvin Ridley. We got plenty of players that we can potentially cut. We have Cam Robinson with a $16 million cap hit. We have Brandon Sheriff with a pretty decent one. Also, Rayshon Jenkins is a cut candidate. All different types of guys that we're going to be hearing about in the next couple of weeks. And not only that, just free agency coming up. So what I want to do is I want to basically just live react to the press conferences that took place today. Because I really didn't. I watched a little bit at work, been a little bit busy today, and now I watched it more in the background as opposed to really getting to dive deep. So I want to present it, and we can all just kind of watch and learn together. Now I'm gonna do Doug Pederson first, kind of nail through him pretty quickly, and then we can kind of get on with Trent Baalke, and we can all because that's the one where I only made it halfway through his one because there's just so much BS in his press conference. It drives you nuts that this guy's actually running this team right now. So let's go ahead, add Doug Pederson to the stage, and we'll listen along. Okay, my bad. Sorry, I didn't realize you guys couldn't hear the audio. 1 second. Hold on. I don't know why it's not. Oh, I see. Chrome tab. All right, can you guys hear now?
Regis Eller. I sat down myself, Trent Baalke, Ethan Wall, Regis Eller. We all just sat down and we interviewed a really good group of men, for defensive coordinator, and it was a really good process for me to go through. And you
guys didn't miss much. He's just talking about firing Mike Caldwell and getting the right guys.
Came away all feeling really good about Ryan and what he brings and where he's been, who he's been around, the players he's coached.
Actually, believe it or not, it's the first time we've heard Doug Pederson speak since hiring Ryan Nielsen,
and what he can bring to our defense. And then, just kind of from there, it just Matt House, been in the NFL, with Kansas City Chiefs. He's won a Super Bowl, been a defensive coordinator. Just a great history there to be the inside backer coach. I kept Bill Shuey as the outside backers. Rory Seagrass is still assistant D-line. Chris Richard, been in the NFL, has been on a Super Bowl team. So guys that have had these backgrounds of success and coach players at a high level are all guys that I wanted, on staff. And Corey Robinson, who coached with Ryan in New Orleans, obviously came from the University of Tennessee. Again, helping in the secondary there as well. And, I look at Jeremy Garrett, the defensive line coach. He obviously he's been around. So, I think of Mario, I think of Mike, kept Pat Riley. Obviously, I love Pat. A group of men that out of our players.
Going through coaching staff updates, a bunch of names that we don't really know too well.
Obviously, scheme might change just a little bit, but get the most that number one, are going to get the most out of our players. Obviously, scheme might change just a little bit, but I think the look of it's going to change probably the most. What you see, but it's all for the better. And again, I'm excited for the future. Excited to work with these guys. Coming up this offseason.
So he said defensive scheme might change, and stuff might change, but he doesn't really get into what exactly is going to change.
Following up on that, you mentioned Jeremy Garrett's time in the NFL. Auburn made you feel he was actually ready to come back.
Yeah, when I sat down and interviewed him, the thing that stood out right away was his confidence, his attention to detail, and those are things that's who I am as a coach, right? You pay attention to the little things, and that's what kind of drew me to him, and allowed me to hire him and get him on staff. So again, another one that I'm excited to work with, and he's got a great teacher in Ryan, obviously a former D-line coach, who I know will have his hand on the defensive line and making sure that's going in the right direction.
Yeah, so we do have one good thing about Ryan Nielsen. He is a defensive line coach. That's kind of his specialty. And the big thing about him is that, what everyone says is he's just really knows how to maximize the talent from that unit from a pass rushing standpoint, which, we got Trayvon Walker who can only get better. You also basically redshirted Yasir Abdullah. So I don't know what he'll be able to bring, but I imagine he'll be replacing K'Lavon Chaisson in his role. And, maybe we go out there and draft a new edge rusher, like Latu, whatever, from UCLA. Sounds like a pretty good one. And, even if you get Byron Murphy the second from Texas, he's a good interior guy.
There's a lot of quarterbacks drafted early. Why is that projecting Alex Miller in the NFL?
I do wish the audio was I wish you could hear the questions being asked a little better.
I think the number one thing that again, how does the collegiate game translate to the NFL game? And a lot of times, a lot of situations now, college quarterbacks just aren't in a huddle. Everything is at the line of scrimmage, right? It's always an up-tempo, fast-paced style of offense, and just getting guys in the huddle and communicating and play. I go back to our guy, Trevor, just a few years ago, it's kind of a foreign deal, right? I mean, just getting in a huddle, calling a play, getting to the line of scrimmage, doing cadence, being under center. But it doesn't take away from the fact that they're proven winners. They got a great skill set. They throw the ball extremely well.
About a different
Their football intelligence is high.
Not really.
Those are things that you can see, and those are things that you can take away from players, especially the quarterbacks, when you're visiting with them.
Yes, I know. West Day says Danielle Hunter has been linked to us from the Vikings. Yeah, he's being very, very. I mean, all different sites are linking him to us, and there's always been a lot of Danielle Hunter and Jaguars talk. So. Wouldn't that be something?
No, because, they're doing what's best for them. They're trying to win a national championship, right? Obviously, we're trying to win a Super Bowl. So you've got to be very precise. You've got to turn over every stone, at the NFL level to make sure you've got the right guy for your system.
Evaluation process.
Good to see you. How are you doing? I think the hash marks play a big part of it. The field, they got more space in college football, the other thing too is
at
our level,
college football is different than NFL.
We've got we've got draft picks at every position. We got the best of the best at every position, offense, defense, and special teams, where, this is not a knock on college football, but they don't all have blue chip athletes at every position. So space and time, the speed element, right, can play a big factor in that.
Glacial says, if we retain Josh Allen, how would you feel about getting Danielle Hunter? I would love it, man. I mean, you can never use enough. And look, if you get Danielle Hunter, then you have a lot of flexibility with, moving Trayvon Walker and Danielle Hunter really all over the line of scrimmage. I think Danielle Hunter, I mean, he's a great player. He had one of the most sacks this NFL season. And I don't know, with the amount of money that Josh Allen will get, I don't know if they're going to want to put that much money into that position, but maybe they look more toward the interior of the defensive line, or maybe they try to allocate that somewhere else. But man, I mean, right now on the roster, you have 2 edge rushers currently under contract, Trayvon Walker and Yasir Abdullah. Okay. You have nobody else. Josh Allen, currently a free agent, DeJuan Smoot, free agent, Kayvon Chason, free agent. So you're going to need to do something.
Why do they keep getting the quarterback right? Since the time you were there as a player till now, they keep getting it right.
Man, that's a great question. I
don't know.
Obviously, they've gotten it right.
I don't know. They're asking him about how are the Packers keep getting a quarterback situation
here.
Right? Really good.
Invest the time in these players to find out who they are and if they're going to be the best ones for your organization. I know in Green Bay, they actually traded for Brett, right? Brett was in Atlanta, and who knows what would have happened if he had stayed in Atlanta at the time. But, Ron Wolf saw something in Brett and made.
I guess there's a Packers guy there that's curious about what they think. I mean, I don't know who asked that question, but, they're acting like Pederson's on like an hour-long podcast. Like, we haven't heard Pederson talk since the day after the Titans debacle and the season was over. And you're going to ask him what he thinks about the Packers always getting the quarterback situation right? I don't know, man.
The trade, and obviously the rest is history. Aaron Rodgers came in on the heels of that, and now, Jordan Love. So we can all take a piece out of their puzzle, so to speak, in evaluating quarterbacks.
Speaking of quarterbacks, do you have the right quarterback, and what have the conversation's been like?
So this is a good question from Mia O'Brien. Asking him directly, what do you think about your quarterback and contract stuff? Let's hear what he says.
Trevor, over the last few weeks.
We do have the right quarterback. I'm excited for the future with Trevor. He's excited. The conversations we've had since the season, and I don't get into the contract stuff. I mean, I leave that for Trent and the agents and stuff. But I just know that our guy's the right guy. He's got the right demeanor. He's got the right leadership. And it's our job as coaches now to make sure he takes that next step. And this will be another big offseason for him and his development and growth. By no means is he where he wants to be or where we want him to be. But really looking forward to working another year with Trevor.
Next step for Trevor. What is that next step?
I just think,
no, that's about the next step for Trevor.
Continuing to understand our offense, right? Get better with the scheme and really still put more of an impact to his voice in our offense, because he's the one out there executing and calling the plays. So
one thing he knows about Doug Pederson is like the player that he's the hardest on is Trevor Lawrence. And look, I do think that the quarterback, they shoulder a lot of different blame, but it's interesting that not necessarily that he puts it on Trevor Lawrence, but like it almost doesn't feel like he holds other players accountable the same way as Trevor Lawrence does, at least publicly. I don't know, man. It's just a little bit interesting that I noticed.
I want him to speak up and really take ownership in that with us, and just the situational part of football too. Just understanding game situations. Managing the game in a certain way at certain times throughout the course of the game, and these are all areas that we can continue as a staff to assist him and help him. Get to where we want to be.
In terms of 4th down and 2-point conversions, how has the league evolved since 16 and 17
Well, I think teams are viewing that now as just another offensive play. I mean, it's an important play, it's an impactful play, but offensive lines are getting good. The quarterback position's getting better. Skip him and help him, get to where we want to be.
In terms of
fourth down and 2-point conversion decisions, how has the league evolved since 16 and 17?
Okay, so they're talking about how he feels about 2-point conversions, which is an interesting one.
Well, I think teams are viewing that now as a just another offensive play. I mean, it's an important play, it's an impactful play, but offensive lines are getting good, the quarterback position's getting better, the skills, the running backs are better. It's just I just think in analytics, obviously have a big part of this, in helping us decide to go for these, fourth downs and 2-point conversions. And I do think that it's helping offenses stay on the field. It's helping them, score points eventually. And I think the trend is going to continue to be even more, year in and year out.
However, as far as the protection this past year, you obviously retain Phil Rauscher as your offensive line coach. You have a lot of guys.
Yeah, give credit to Mia. She's asking good questions. Now she's asking about kind of the offensive line. What's going on, Brianna? Didn't miss anything. XD Gamer, West Day, they're arguing about Dearness Johnson and running backs. So let's see what he has to say about the offensive line.
It's expected to come back, maybe some decisions to make. When you evaluated the offensive line, where does it need to improve? In personnel, schematically, what were the biggest things?
I would say yes to all that. Our offensive line, obviously, and I think if you talk to these guys individually, they know and we know that it wasn't our best, right? And as a coaching staff, I put a lot of this on us and making sure that we're doing the right things to put our players in position. You've heard me say this a lot. Put our players in position to be successful. Give them an opportunity, and that falls on us as coaches through game planning and scheming and not having too much. Just have the right amount of plays to execute, and then in turn that falls back onto the player. Right, the player has to go out and play and use his God-given ability to go execute the play. So we're going to continue to look to improve. We always talk about competition. We want to bring in players to add value and depth at every position. And then we have to coach it better. We've got to teach it better, and we got to detail it. It all starts in the offseason.
Yeah. You have the guys.
This is why I don't really like press conferences. The most coach speak answer, just like, oh, yeah, they didn't play their best, but we got to put them in better position. Everybody has to do better. Play is just kind of talking all around. I mean, coach speak question there.
The offensive line room right now, or do you feel like you need to go out and I know Trent referenced needing.
I give me a credit again. She literally asked directly because first she asked about the offensive line. He skated all around the whole team. Now asking directly on the offensive line. Here, let's go back.
Maybe a night, or do you feel like
in the offseason?
Believe you have the guys in the offensive line room right now, or do you feel like you need to go out and I know Trent referenced needing maybe an identity or physicality?
I think it goes towards that more than anything else. I mean, it's the addition of Ezra, we thought was going to be that left guard. If you think about it, Cam, Ezra, Luke, Brandon, and Ton played one game together. Last game of the regular season, right? So
and they were awful. I thought, yeah, they were awful. The offensive line was awful last game of the season.
Oh, we've had that kind of revolving door on the left side. It, for whatever reason, injury, performance, whatever it might be, and Cam, the suspension, and then the injury late in the season, so he missed 8 games. We didn't have consistency. We didn't have continuity. And that affects 5 guys up front, right? And so that's where we have to get back to. We've got to get back to a little more consistency there. But we can also help them as coaches and prepare them better. And I know we will starting this offseason.
Another same old thing. They can play better, but we as coaches need to do better. It's like, okay. I don't know. I mean, I just, for me, I put so much, and I give Doug credit because I really don't blame Doug all that much. I put so much blame on Trent Baalke because the offensive line was so bad. How much more coaching can they really do when guys aren't pushing guys anywhere? You know what I mean? This is Trent Baalke's fault when it comes to just having an offensive line that was so weak and was just so bad that had no improvement from last year. And, defensive line too, the edge rusher position was terrible. I mean, you had no pressure outside of Trayvon Walker and Josh Allen, and just wasn't a good roster. And look, Doug Peterson's putting a lot of stuff on himself, saying players need to play better and coaches need to coach better. But really, you need better talent there. You need better talent.
Personnel, but you do have a lot of experience with quarterbacks. I'm wondering, with the intelligence test that these guys take and all players take pre-draft, have you ever found much correlation between, some of those results, if you look at them at all, and what you see when you get the player in-house?
No.
Okay.
No. I mean, I know those are all good metrics to go off of and how players learn and the way they process and all that. To me, the bottom line is you gotta go spend time with these guys. You gotta put the film on. Can he make plays? Can he stand in the face of adversity and throw a 20-yard dig route and get hit and then get up and go to the next play? That's playing the quarterback position in today's game. And can he make guys miss? Not everybody's going to be a Lamar Jackson, right? You're going to make everybody miss and be able to scramble and run and do the things that he does. He's a tremendous player. Pat Mahomes, tremendous player. The things he can do. But all those guys can stand back there and make throws in the face of adversity, and that doesn't come from a test, right? That comes from doing it week in and week out. And so to me, I lean more towards that than an assessment.
Trent Baalke his first year with the Colts, and particularly as a play caller.
I thought he did a heck of a job. I mean, a heck of a job with the guys that he has. That he got those guys.
Now we're talking about the Colts, just kind of going around the horn here.
Guys to play at a high level. Obviously, Gus Bradley on defense, and
it's like this is one thing that's a little bit annoying about these things. Is like you'll just have some random like reporter in there from a certain team. Hey man, how do you think the Detroit Lions did? Oh yeah, I think they did a great job. Jared Goff had a real. It's like okay, like. Why are you asking them this? You know what I mean? Like, you got 15 minutes. You're asking them about like the Green Bay Packers and now the Colts. I mean, I guess the Colts are in the AFC South, but they're just going to give them. What are they supposed to say? Like, oh yeah, they sucked. I mean, I shouldn't say they sucked, but yeah, they should have caught that last ball against the Texans.
And they got Jim Bob Cooter who was with us and those guys. Our division is in good hands right now, right? I think about where we are. Obviously, where Houston's at, where Indy's at. Tennessee's the same way.
And Colby, I know I'm definitely in a minority with this. He just says, I never understood Doug's love for Press Taylor. I get being loyal, but after a while of no development from Taylor, just doesn't make sense. Dude, the thing is, Press Taylor was the same guy calling plays this year as last year. Okay. The difference is that, like, a lot of, I'm telling you guys, so much blame of this team goes to Trent Baalke and also, quite frankly, injury. I mean, we had injuries, honestly, all over the place on offense. But, last year we were able to run the ball. I mean, as an offensive coordinator, what are you actually supposed to call when your offense literally can't run the ball? A lot of people were getting tired of his wide receiver screens. Well, you had to do wide receiver screens because if you just do a straight up run play between the tackle and guard, it's going to go for -2 yards. You know what I mean?
It's always a tough team every single time you play them. But Coach Steichen did an outstanding job of leading those guys, motivating those guys, a play caller, putting those guys in position to be successful. And then when Gardner came in and played, there was an enthusiasm in that stadium, right? There was a level of excitement that that they need. Did and great job of doing that.
Bringing in staff, you find that the guys wanted to get out of the college game because everything going. Some of the college guys.
There was a few comments of that. I just guys are always looking. They love the NFL. They love football, and obviously, at our game, you don't have as much recruiting and and all that kind of stuff that you're dealing with. But a few guys had made that comment. Yes.
We can't even hear the question.
Yeah, look, I'm not going to dive into all the all the contract things and all that. That's for another day. But
I'm assuming they asked about something about Josh Allen and maybe Calvin Ridley's contract, because he mentioned that, then now he's taking a long break, so he's trying to figure out how to politically correct answer this question.
When it comes to free agents on our roster, we definitely want to sign them all back if we can, right? I mean, that's the nature of the game. Keep the core, and we're going to do everything in our power to make sure that we can do that. And it was unfortunate last year because Christian got hurt late in the season. Zay was banged up for the majority of the season. So,
and this is one thing with the offense, man. Like I'm saying, man, our offense was so banged up. First of all, if you look at the offensive line, Cam Robinson was injured. Walker Little was injured. Right when we traded for Ezra Cleveland, he got injured. Brandon Sheriff was injured all year. Even Anton Harrison, the entire year, was playing with a shoulder injury that he had to have surgery on after the season. Christian Kirk got hurt. Zay Jones was injured a lot of the season. Jamal Agnew was hurt. And not to mention Trevor Lawrence was very, very injured. We had every single player on the offense seemingly like going out there, just taping themselves up and trying to go after it. So that's a huge thing that happened with this offense. So combined with that and combined with just the talent, that's why I am not one to put as much blame on, Press Taylor. And honestly, this is Doug Pederson's offense. Look, if they fire Press Taylor, they're just going to bring in another guy that can be, just a little jester for Doug Pederson. This is how it is. And Glacial asks, that's a good question. If Cam is cut, you think Anton will be moved to left tackle? I don't think so. I mean, I think Walker Little plays his natural left tackle position, and then, maybe in year 3, consider it.
Again, that was another position group that didn't have all their, their horses, so to speak, week in and week out. Calvin was the one that was kind of the healthiest at the end of the season, and he was a great addition to our offense. Obviously would love to get him back if possible. I think he adds an element of a speed, down the field that we need. Trevor felt more comfortable as the season went on. So, we've got him again, much like the offensive line. You got to continue to add value, continue to add talent, continue to add depth, and feel like we're gonna, execute our plan this spring and see what happens in the future.
In the same vein, Doug, what is...
Yeah, and Colby says, Anton Harrison had his ups and downs and seen us play as a rookie, let alone injured, was the main bright spot of the team. Anton was really the only good draft pick last year. Yeah, and honestly, like we talk about him being up and down, really most of his downs happen in the first month. I mean, he really settled in, in the last half to 3/4 of the season. Of course, he struggled with like Chris Jones, but who wouldn't in a second game as an NFL pro?
It's been your...
Honestly, it's hard for me to comment on that because I wasn't in either one of those two buildings.
Yeah, see, I don't know what they asked, but now he's asking like
on that because I wasn't in either one of those two buildings. So I just don't. I don't want to speculate, honestly.
I don't know what team he's asking about.
It's difficult for me because I just don't know the whole dynamic of what was surrounding both players.
Last question here. Oh, what about these two situations and these two buildings you're not a part of? What do you think?
I like Bryce. I like CJ Stroud too. Anthony Richardson. You look at the quarterbacks we have in our division. Will Levis in Tennessee. I mean, these are some young athletic guys that and then you throw Trevor in that mix too, right? So AFC South, I think, is in good hands when it comes to the quarterback position.
Thanks, Doug. Thanks, everybody. All right, so that's Doug Pederson. Pretty interesting stuff. Unshare the screen. So yeah, I mean, a lot of this coach speak, a lot of this and that. I wanted to get this one out of the way first, just because Trent Baalke is next, okay, and that's when we're gonna show a little bit of emotion because that's the real villain of the Jaguars organization. But first, guys, this video does have a sponsor, and it's a very, very good sponsor, and it'd be great if you can support them. I'm going to real quick do an ad read, and then we will get into Trent Baalke's press conference. Now, before we get into this video, I do want to give a big shout out to this video's sponsor. Now, are you guys tired of constantly receiving spam calls to your phone to the point where you don't really answer anymore? Now, I am lucky because I live in a 407 area code and my cell phone goes back to the 904, but I haven't lived in Jacksonville in over 10 years. And you guys won't believe the amount of 904 calls that I get every day. And look, if I get a 904 call, I haven't lived in Jacksonville in over 10 years. I know that it's a spam call, and it's crazy the amount of calls I get every single day from the 904 area code. Guys, data brokers are making a fortune selling your information to robocallers, spammers, and others who want to learn more about you, just like where you live. Now, Aura, who is the sponsor of this video, can identify data brokers exposing your info and submit opt-out requests on your behalf. Now, brokers are legally required to remove your info if you ask them to, but they make it super hard to do it. So you guys can let Aura do that all for you. Aura also does so much more to protect you and your family from online threats that you can't see. It's really easy to set up, so you don't have to go out and download a bunch of different apps to get things like parental control, antivirus, VPN, password management, identity theft insurance, and all that stuff. Like, you get everything at one affordable price. Let Aura do the hard work of keeping you safe online so you can focus on other tasks with peace of mind. You can either let people continue to exploit and profit off of your private information online, or you can hit the link in the top of my description box. It's going to bring you to Aura, and that link is going to give you a 14-day free trial. Huge shout out to Aura for coming over to my channel and allowing me to give this to my subscribers to keep them safe online. And with all that said, let's get into the contents of this video. So yeah, huge shout out to Aura, man. And guys, if you want to support this channel, a great thing that you guys can do for me is go download Aura with my link .com/UCF Jaguar. Just try out the 14-day free trial, okay? See how it is. If, you know, after a week or so you don't like it, you can cancel it at no charge. Just give it a try. They're an awesome sponsor, and I really, really hope to be able to work with them going forward. So yeah, like, if I could just ask you guys for a token of appreciation, if you guys are enjoying my content, definitely support the sponsors. It really helps support the channel. All right. Yeah, the link's at the top of the description box as well as pinned at the top of the chat. So now, guys, the moment we have all been waiting for, okay? We are going to listen to Trent Baalke's press conference, okay? This one's a doozy. Let's get into it.
Let's go. Let me think. No, let's go.
Dude, I'm so tired of hearing this guy's voice. And I really, really wish that somebody would have asked him about the burner Twitter account. Actually, I only watched half of this, but maybe someone does. But it would be hilarious because ever since everybody called him out for that, the account literally stopped tweeting. So it was 110% him.
Not jumping as much as it did. Does that change anything? What was your reaction to the increase?
I don't think it really changes anything. Obviously, it affects everybody the same way. So it's not like it.
So stupid. They're asking about the huge salary cap increase, and he really starts off by saying it doesn't really change anything. Are you
Creates
kidding
an
me, dude?
advantage anything.
What was your reaction to
It had the biggest boost in NFL history. Yeah, we're in a cap situation where we're, middle of the road. We got to maybe cut some players to save money. You got big time freedoms coming up like Josh Allen and Calvin Ridley, but it doesn't really matter that much.
I don't think it really changes anything. Obviously, it affects everybody the same way. So it's not like it creates an advantage or a disadvantage for us. So no feeling one way or another on it.
Dude, come on. No feeling one way or the other. It's just ridiculous. There's no way I really hope he doesn't actually believe this, and I really hope he's just trying to BS us all.
Working. That's an ongoing discussion that we're having with his agent. In fact, later today, I'm going to have another meeting with him as well. So just ongoing.
Is it pretty apparent that the franchise tag could come into play when you need that time?
I don't want to speculate on that. Let's just, we got a little over a week to work with here. We're going to work diligently with his agent to try to come to a resolution on this thing. So that's where our focus is right now.
Okay, wants to talk nothing about Josh Allen. He's going to get franchise tagged. Okay.
Can you potentially pull off getting Ridley back without having to give up that second round pick?
Well,
so now they're asking, what's the thought of like Calvin Ridley with, you know, potentially the second round pick?
We're not real concerned with that, whether it's a second or a third round. We're just going to work.
What? You're not concerned with that? With whether it's a second or third round pick? Dude. I don't even know what to say to that, dude. This is such a big thing that goes into this pick. Look, we are a team that went backwards in 2023, okay? This is huge. It's not like between a 7th and 6th round pick. Day 2 of the NFL draft is extremely important, but maybe Trent Baalke doesn't think so, because the last 2 years on day 2, he's picked Chad Muma, Luke Fortner, Brenton Strange, and Tank Bigsby. So maybe he's not that concerned because it's day 2 pick and he's allergic to picking good players there.
Work with the player and see if we can come to an agreement whether that's before that compensation changes or not, that remains to be seen, but we're more focused on the player.
It's just ridiculous. And I really just hope that everything is GM speaking. He doesn't actually believe this shit. And I hope none of you guys believe this stuff coming out of his mind.
Yeah, we're going to continue to have conversations with all of them. We've got a lot of work to do this offseason. You know, I had a meeting with Kelvin the other day in my office. I had a great talk with Kelvin, know exactly where he's at, and he knows where we're at. So we're just going to continue to work with all these players and try to come to some form of compromise, some form of resolution as the weeks go on.
Yeah, just talking about, I met with Calvin. We had a great discussion, but I'm not even sure if I believe that, because you're not having discussions with Calvin Ridley right now. You're having discussions with agents. This is the time where the players sit, like maybe he would have a conversation maybe with Doug Pederson, but there's no reason unless Calvin Ridley is representing himself to have any conversation with him. Like, you notice it's almost like a bold-faced lie, right? He's talking to Josh Allen's agent, but he's talking to Calvin Ridley directly. You know what I mean?
I think there's so many things that go into the decisions you make on every individual player. It's hard to, you know, without going into detail on each player and each situation and what's available, hard to lay that all out in your mind. But every player has the different specifics that go along with getting a deal done or not getting a deal done. Our focus is on getting deals done, and that's where we're going to keep it.
Do enough.
Like, this is classic Trent Baalke answer. Just 1 minute of talking, but saying nothing at the same time.
In the pass rush this past season?
Well, that's, you know, everyone has an opinion on that.
This is the thing, man. When you ask him about edge rusher, the guy cringes. And shout out to Mia O'Brien. She's actually asking a really good question.
I don't ever try to keep it.
Do enough in the pass rush this past season?
Did you do enough in pass rush this season? Okay. Clearly you did not. Okay. Before he answers whatever he answers, you had Josh Allen had an incredible year. Trayvon Walker, double-digit sacks. Awesome. Backup edge rushers combined for 3 sacks. Kayvon Chaselin got 2 sacks. DeJuan Smoot got 1 sack. That's all their production from your edge rushers. You had no third edge rusher. Nobody to replace Arden Key. Nothing. The guy with the third most sacks on the team was Roy Robertson Harris with, like, I think 3 sacks. Let's see what this dumbass says. I can't stand this guy.
Well, that's, you know, everyone has an opinion on that.
Everyone has their opinion on that. It's facts, bro. We had no production there.
You know, I don't ever try to look back and say, what if?
Oh, my God, dude. What do you mean look back and say, what if? You sign another pass rusher. This isn't like going back to 2022 and saying, should you have drafted Trayvon Walker or Aiden Hutchinson? Then it's like, then you really got to think, oh, well, Aiden Hutchinson's doing this, but Trayvon Walker's doing that. I don't want to say what if. No, like literally, dude, you needed another edge rusher. You might have been an edge rusher away from making the playoffs. All it takes is you're one win away from winning the AFC South. Just takes one big play in any of these games to change the game. He says he doesn't think about what ifs. No, dude. This isn't like a what if. It's a what I should have done. This is I can't even. It's hard. Whatever.
There's things that we got to do better, and it ultimately falls on my shoulders, to make the right decisions.
So I guess he's taking some blame there. I don't know.
Make the right moves with obviously a lot of talk and discussion with Coach, and we're very much on the same page, and work.
Okay, let's see what the same page is. Me and Coach are very much on the same page of what? What could possibly come out to that statement?
With Coach, and we're very much on the same page, and work hard to be on the same page. So, we're going to continue to do what we do.
What? What did that mean? We're going to continue to work hard to be on the same page and do what we do. They asked you, what do you think you should have done at edge rusher? And he ends that by saying, we're going to continue to work hard to do what we do. Okay, dude. Dude, this is the guy running our football team. This bozo, this clown. It's crazy, man.
After the season, there was some ambiguity about if Cam Robinson will be back on the team in 2024. Do you guys have a resolution to that, or is his contract going to have to be renegotiated, or what's the sense of Cam?
I don't know where the ambiguity was. He's under contract, and the expectation is that he will be back.
Oh, my God, dude. So, Trent, every single player that's under contract doesn't get cut? Like, dude, we're not idiots. We know how the NFL works, man. We know how the NFL works. You look around at a team, and you have this thing called cap casualties. Every team does it. You can't just sit here and say, oh, well, Cam's under contract. He's going to be a Jaguar. Dude, he's a $60 million cap hit. Dude, we're not – he acts like he's talking to people who's never watched football before.
We've had a lot of discussions over the last 2 weeks. We obviously got a lot of moves we got to do. There's a lot of players that have hit free agency. There's another bunch of young guys that we're working on potential extensions for. So we've got a lot of balls in the air right now, and we're just going to try to play them one by one.
Last year, you guys had to restructure some contracts. I know you don't necessarily like to do that every year. Is that something that you're going to have to do again this year? Or
we're in good cap shape right now. I mean, we're sitting pretty good. I think we're right in the middle to upper tier of the league in terms of cap space available. And we've got moves that we can do to create more cap space. So we like the position we're in. We like the flexibility that we have. And again, we're not going to disclose any of our thoughts right here, but we feel good about where we're at.
So again, a non-answer. Also, he says, I think we're middle of the road to upper tier. Dude, you should know exactly where you are. You should know the exact number that you're at. Are you 15? Are you 16? I don't know, man. That's crazy, bro.
Young guys in this draft process on the interior, the offensive line, what's the talent look like?
I think, broad brush, I think it's a good group. I think that there's strength in the interior, both on the defensive side and the offensive side. So I would look for it to be a very competitive group coming out of this year's draft.
Arias, Tyson returning to form, getting healthy on the outside, rolling with those guys, and then who would be your third? You have to line it out.
Yo, Brianna, welcome back to the membership. Appreciate it. And by the way, guys, I am almost done with my CPA stuff. Less than a month away from hopefully my final CPA exam. So we'll be back out here bringing back the membership live streams every month, and a lot more to come when it comes to the membership. I haven't been very good this last year on it, just because, quite frankly, I'm just trying to freaking push out videos and meet my different YouTube obligations while also working full time, while studying, while having somewhat of a work-life balance. So appreciate it, Brianna.
It's a good question. Who's going to be the third? You know, we've got to add.
Getting healthy on the
You're
outside.
asking about cornerback, the third cornerback.
Rolling with those guys, and then who would be your third? You have to line up for that.
It's a good question. Who's going to be the third? You know, we've got to add to that group. You know, I think Coach Nielsen spoke on it.
So, Boom, is this the first like actual valid answer he said? We need to add to the cornerback group. Thank you. I mean, you're stating the obvious, but at least he said something of substance, right?
Coach Pederson's probably spoke on it. Now I'm speaking on it. It's a group that we need to address. We feel good about the group we have. We feel like we got some good young guys to work with. We got some veterans in there, but we're definitely going to look to add to that group.
School of thought that sometimes in the first round, taking a tight end early is not a good decision, like top 10, because of the value of that position.
I don't know.
All right, so now they're asking them basically, did you mess up with a Britton Strange pick? I believe that's what he's asking. Let me redo that.
School of thought that sometimes in the first round, taking a tight end early is not a good decision, like top 10, because.
I guess it's different. It said, do you agree with that? Taking a tight end too early, top 10, isn't the right thing to do. He just drafted a tight end in the second round last year. Like, what do you think he's going to say?
The value of that position.
I don't know. When I was in San Francisco, we took Vernon Davis, I think, with the 6th pick of the draft, and that worked out pretty well for us. You know.
That is true. Why are you asking Trent Baalke if he thinks drafting a tight end top 10 is worth it when he drafted Vernon Davis at number 6 overall? I mean, I don't know. Maybe he was a part of the staff, but come on, man.
When you got a chance to take a good player, we can argue about the value of the position all we want, but you take good players when they're sitting in front of you. So if they end up being great players when you pick them at 6, and you hit.
I just want to give a shout out to some people. Jax fan forever is in a building. What's up, man? 100 miles per hour. Jonathan Burns. Brown says, anytime. I completely understand what you're going through. I'm in the same boat with trying to balance school, work, and YouTube. Yeah, it's a grind, that's for sure. And also, I saw Tekken in here earlier. What's up, Tekken? Hope you're doing good, man.
The decision was the right decision. If they don't end up being good players, it wasn't a good decision. And that's just the world we live in.
Advice would you give to the front office in LA about working with Jim Harbaugh?
I'm not. I work for the Jacksonville Jaguars, not LA.
Yeah, so they're asking him what he thinks about Harbaugh to LA Chargers. I don't know. We all know.
You know, I think I worked with Jim for a number of years, have great respect for him.
I mean, him and Jim had a terrible relationship, and he's asking him about it. Like, they don't talk anymore. It's
and wish him nothing but the best.
The value of certain.
Am I like annoying right now? Am I complaining too much, or are you guys all feeling the same way? I think anything that comes out of this guy's mouth, I'm just gonna really dislike. Which I think is unfortunate because I really do like Doug Pederson. I really do like Trevor Lawrence. I should feel very, very excited and confident about this season. But this freaking guy right here, combined with Shad Khan, just makes me feel like the ownership here and the bones of this organization are just bad.
I can't hear you. I'm sorry.
Also, side note, bad fade haircut here. I don't know what's going on here, but come on, Trent.
Well, I think you want to make each room as competitive as you can make it.
Dude, it looks like he gave himself this fade, right? Look at this.
The D-line room, the O-line room, the receiver room. Competition is good. It's a good thing. It's a good thing to have on your team, and you want to strengthen it all the time. Each room you want to continue to look at ways to strengthen, and that's what we do as team builders.
Ravens GM Eric DeCosta was up there talking about wide receiver depth earlier, and he said they're kind of like race cars. Fun to watch them rev up, but sometimes they crash. How do you evaluate wide receivers as they age?
I never heard.
Yeah, so this is as my wide receivers. Now keep in mind, Trent Baalke's never really drafted the wide receiver with the Jaguars. Only Parker Washington and Jalen Camp.
That one, I'll have to use that one. You know, they're all different. Right? You've got guys that have aged well, and you've got other guys that haven't. every athlete's a little bit differently. How well have they taken care of their body? What type of probe they've got? There's so many things that go into it. To say they all age the same, or it's not true. And I think we've got plenty of history behind that to suggest that that's the case.
Positions, Trent. Interior offensive line in the first round sometimes can be considered a bugaboo.
All right. Dude, Mia is the MVP of this. And look, I'm not even a huge fan of Mia because she disrespected me on Twitter a couple years back, basically thinking I was a nobody, before realizing that I have a freaking army of people that like me and enjoy me and follow me and all that stuff. So she was surprised, but she tried to get her army against mine, and my army won. But she's asking good questions here. She's asking about interior offensive line right now.
You did, Trent. Interior offensive line in the first round sometimes can be considered a bugaboo. You did it when you were with San Francisco back in 2010. If you could just speak to your confidence in 2024, would you be confident in selecting an interior offensive lineman in the first round?
Well, we took Mike Iupati, I believe, with the 17th pick in the draft the one year, and it turned out pretty darn well. Again, it goes back to, did the player turn out to be a good football player or didn't he? You're never going to get criticized for taking a good player. If it doesn't work and the player doesn't end up reaching his level of competency or the expectation.
Yeah, I agree. Like a lot of, like Colby says, hate when coaches and GMs get softball questions. Me as ask them some good questions. Yeah, like a lot, like some of these questions just dumb, but I do like how she's asking very like direct, like this position, edge rusher. What about interior offensive line? Just kind of calling out the weaknesses of the team.
The pick, then it's a bad pick. So it just comes down to whether you made the right decision or not.
No, Kendra Middleton is definitely not a real reporter.
Your options for Trevor and Travis are going to be formalities and other ways away.
I don't want to suggest anything at this point. I mean, they're good football players, and you certainly don't want to lose them.
Do you like the top level corners in this draft and what you've seen so far?
I think the draft at the corner position, I think is going to be strong. I think it's a good group. I think there's going to be good players at the top end of the market and good players all the way through in the developmental range. So again, I think it's going to be a pretty good group of players in that specific.
I do give Trent credit. He's been pretty good on cornerbacks. Darius Williams was a good draft pick or a good free agency signing. Tyson Campbell was too. I thought Monteric Brown might have been a day 3 steal. And you also got Antonio Johnson in the 3rd round. So he's been actually pretty good on that end.
Different position group. You know, I think the thing we enjoy the most is getting in front of the players and just sitting down. You only get 18 minutes roughly with them. You know, you just trying to get as much information as you can, a general impression of them. Don't use that impression too heavily one way or the other. Some guys come in, they're nervous as cats, just like I am when I get up here, you know. You know, you just try to get a feel for the player. That's all you're trying to do. You get a chance to watch them work out. More than not, some of these guys aren't working out or they're not doing all the drills like they used to do, so it's a little bit different. And the most important thing for us is the medical. And that's really what the Combine years ago was started to do, and that's what we're kind of back to. It's really a good place to get the medical.
Oh, yeah. Medical is a big thing at the Combine, guys. These guys get, if they had any kind of injury, like a knee injury his sophomore year, you know, he hurt his elbow freshman year, they're going to be poking that crap like crazy, man, to the point where it gets them really, it actually like hurts. Like it makes them uncomfortable.
Assessments that you need to make decisions you need to make in the draft.
For Ezra, Cleveland, I assume that you guys think highly of him, but how do you view him as far as potentially re-signing him for next year?
We like Ezra. In fact, we're going to be meeting with his agent sometime this week. I believe it's Thursday or Friday. We're meeting with Ron. You know, we'll sit.
You're talking about Ezra Cleveland. Going to meet with him this week. Of course, he's an upcoming free agent. It kind of feels like he's procrastinating, right? I don't know. Could have signed these guys maybe sooner, but I don't know what. Not many teams get started.
No, we traded for him for a reason. We think he's an awfully good football player, and would we like him back? We would like all our players back.
See, like right? Ezra might be a player where if you want to cut Brandon Sheriff, save some money there, maybe re-sign Ezra Cleveland, and then you know you you could re-sign Ezra Cleveland for much, much cheaper. You know what I mean?
That's the way we roll, but unfortunately you can't get them all back. So we're going to work hard and talk with Ron and his agent and talk with Ezra a little bit and see if we can come to an agreement.
Physicality in the player.
It'll be interesting to see with Ezra Cleveland because the report was that he actually wants to play like left tackle and wanted to play left tackle. So we'll see. I mean, I don't know if a team will sign him there, but maybe the Jaguars do a thing where they cut Cam Robinson, and then all of a sudden he becomes like the swing tackle. We'll see.
Physicality. Guys that have physicality, they're kind of born with it. You can shape it a little bit. You can mature it over time. The more confident they get, the more physical they play. There's a lot of things that go into that, but usually those guys are just wired differently. Right?
Given the success Jim Harbaugh had in San Francisco, did you get a sense he would eventually come?
Dude, they're asking about Jim Harbaugh again. Dude, he doesn't give a crap about Jim Harbaugh, man. It's like asking Walter White what he thinks of Gus Fring. Dude, they're enemies.
Back to the NFL.
I didn't hear the question. I'm sorry.
Jim Harbaugh had in San Francisco. Did you get a sense he would return to the NFL eventually?
Yeah, I figured Jim would always return. He's a good football coach. He's won everywhere he's been, and he deserves a chance to come back into the league. And I'm glad he got that opportunity.
Just very quick with it. Yeah, I know he's back in the NFL. Glad he got another opportunity. He didn't give a crap.
Excited. I think Ryan's proven over time that, especially with the front, he's done an excellent job with those guys, developing them, moving them around in varying positions along the front to work matchups and stuff like that. I think you're going to see a lot of that as we move forward. But again, coaching's not I'm into the personnel side. I'll let the coaches talk about the coaching.
Yeah, you're gonna let the coaches talk about the coaching, dude. This guy, when training camp and practices are going on, this guy's walking all around the football field, giving high fives to players while they're stretching. He's in on the defense coordinator interviews, but he wants to plead the fifth whenever they want to talk about coaching. This is weird.
Potential does Trayvon still have after a great second year to continue to?
I think he's just scratching the surface. With the way he works and the way he competes, I think his ceiling is very, very high, and what we thought it was when we drafted him, obviously with the first pick in the draft.
Do you feel that as a draft approach is how important is it to know to get to tell like others different? How do you go about gathering?
I can't go that guy.
Well, there's a lot of ways we try to get a feel for what other teams are thinking, and if I shared that with you, then you'd take that back to San Francisco. But I think you just try to get a gauge on what the team needs are for other teams, kind of who they're sending guys around to look at, and all the other things we chart. And kind of
like, how do you get a feel for what players other teams are looking for, what positions?
Track of, but the bottom line is worrying about you. You got to make the best decision you can for you. It helps if you have a little bit of feel for what other teams are going to do, especially if they're right in front of you in the draft. But it's impossible to know what every team's thinking.
Is your radar up for what's real and what's not, what's planted out there?
Well, the best way is not to read it, right? If you read it, you think it's fact, and most of the time it's not fact. So I tend not to read much.
You don't read much?
If I did, I'd be hanging from a bridge somewhere. But you just try to do.
I wish someone asked him about the broad dog, about his burner Twitter account, because the thing that'd be awesome is that, because obviously he's gonna lie about it, but seeing his reaction, like if someone said, "Hey, you got this like burner Twitter account," I'd be like, "Wait, what?" Acts like if reacted like, "Oh, no, it wasn't me, wasn't," you know what I mean? Then it'd be different.
Best thing you can do for your team, and you focus on you. The best way to approach it.
What's your confidence level in Press Taylor?
What's that?
Your confidence level in Press Taylor as a play caller?
Confidence level in Press Taylor.
Again, I think Press is he's growing as a play caller, and I think there's a natural maturation.
And the thing is, I mean, of course, I can't blame Trent Baalke for backing him, but there were reports out there that he didn't really want Doug Pederson to keep Press Taylor.
To that, I don't get into the coaching side of things. I sat in with Coach on the interviews and stuff like that. But Coach, I have full confidence in Coach to make the right decisions for this football team. And whatever decision he makes, I support.
December, it looked like you guys were contenders, right? Back on that Monday Night Football game, you're playing for a #1 seed. By the time Kansas City won the Super Bowl, it felt like you were kind of far away from the outside looking in. How do you view it?
Well, I think anytime you finish the way you finish, there's disappointment. We were 8-3 at one point. We finished 9-8, so we won one more game down the stretch. So it was a disappointment. I don't think anybody you talk to in our organization would argue differently. Extremely disappointed, but focused. We have a clear understanding of what we need to do. And
this right here, it's like, they have a clear understanding of what they need to do. And it's just, I think that last year there wasn't a lot of urgency to do better because they said, okay, we did 9-8. If we just continue to do what we're doing, we're going to get better. We're going to easily win the AFC South because look, you have all these teams are going to have rookie quarterbacks going through rebuilds, but you saw the Texans lap the Jaguars and they finished with the same exact record as the Colts. And those teams have a lot of money. They'll only get better. So now there's going to be a legit kick on our ass to do better.
From an organizational standpoint, it's never one thing. You can't just point to one thing and say that's why we finished the way we finished. There's multiple things, tentacles that stretch into different areas of the organization, and we all have to own it. No one better to own than me. When I look at this thing, extremely disappointed where we were at, where we finished, but motivated to fix it.
You have 18 players at the combine. How is Michigan viewed through the lens of the NFL as a talent?
Dude, now this guy's asking about Michigan. University of Michigan. This is what you're going to ask him.
Resource.
I can't hear.
Michigan has 18 players at the combine. How is that program viewed through the lens of the NFL?
I think Michigan did an outstanding. If one thing you can point to,
they won a national
maturity
championship.
Wins. Right? That was a very mature football team. A lot of fifth and sixth year guys contributing to a national championship team. That's no different than the league. If you look at who wins Super Bowls, it's mature football teams. So I think Jim did an outstanding job of building the continuity there where the players wanted to stay. They wanted to finish out their careers, and they wanted to win a national championship, and that's what they did. So, again, hats off to Jim and the University of Michigan for what they built there, and that's what I –
So this is the last question he's going to answer until he drafts up, I guess, until like 2 or 3 days before the draft. Thank you, reporter. Thank you. Shout out to freaking Michigan, who the Jaguar how many Jaguar fans are Michigan fans? I
think we're all trying to build a winner, and you do that with mature players.
Thanks, Trent. Thank you.
All right, so that was your boy Trent Baalke. Oh God, of course, not a fan, and I know you guys aren't either. It's just, but that was it, man. We got some Jags news, not necessarily Jags news, but some Jags content, man. Me being a content creator, I'm trying to push out at least 2 videos per week. It's been dry times out here, but it's been an hour. I do want to end this by doing my quick another Aura ad read. And guys, definitely, if you guys can, man, down description box, aura.com/UCF Jaguar. Just sign up for a free trial. Try it out for a week or so, and if you don't like it, you can cancel at no charge. Just signing up for the free trial is going to help me out tremendously, okay? So helping out the sponsors really helps out the channel, and we'll go ahead and tell you a little bit more about Aura. Now, before we get into this video, I do want to give a big shout out to this video sponsor. Now, are you guys tired of constantly receiving spam calls to your phone to the point where you don't really answer anymore? Now, I am lucky because I live in a 407 area code and my cell phone goes back to the 904. but I haven't lived in Jacksonville in over 10 years. And you guys won't believe the amount of 904 calls that I get every day. And look, if I get a 904 call, I haven't lived in Jacksonville in over 10 years. I know that it's a spam call, and it's crazy the amount of calls I get every single day from the 904 area code. Guys, data brokers are making a fortune selling your information to robocallers, spammers, and others who want to learn more about you, just like where you live. Now, Aura, who is the sponsor of this video, can identify data brokers exposing your info and submit opt-out requests on your behalf. Now, brokers are legally required to remove your info if you ask them to, but they make it super hard to do it. So you guys can let Aura do that all for you. Aura also does so much more to protect you and your family from online threats that you can't see. It's really easy to set up, so you don't have to go out and download a bunch of different apps to get things like parental control, antivirus, VPN, password management, identity theft insurance, and all that stuff. Like, you get everything at one affordable price. Let Aura do the hard work of keeping you safe online so you can focus on other tasks with peace of mind. You can either let people continue to exploit and profit off of your private information online, or you can hit the link in the top of my description box. It's going to bring you to Aura, and that link is going to give you a 14-day free trial. Huge shout out to Aura for coming over to my channel and allowing me to give this to my subscribers to keep them safe online. And with all that said, let's get into the contents of this video. So yeah, guys, I'm going to end this one here, but you know, in last words, definitely check out the sponsor, man. I would really greatly appreciate it. But also appreciate all you guys for being here with me tonight on this random Tuesday night in February. Free agency, lots of stuff to come on in March. Okay, free agency, all the different, you know, the roster's going to take shape, all this different kind of stuff. But thank you guys so much for everything. You guys are the absolute best, and go Jags.